Okay, so you may have heard that yesterday, on January 5th, Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota announced that he would no longer be running for re-election for Minnesota governor. And the reason was because there was this whole big scandal that he wasn't involved with, but he knew was happening, and because of that, he is going to have to he's decided not to run. So let's kind of just look at Tim Walz and see how this affects the country or Minnesota and maybe the entire country. So first of all, a little background about Tim Walz. He used to be a teacher and a coach, and then he also served in the National Guard for 20 years. And in 2006, he decided to run for Congress in Minnesota, and he served as a congressman all the way until 2019. Now, in 2018, he decided to run for Minnesota governor. This was a big move for him. He was elected to the office. Then in 2022, he decided to run for re-election, and he won once again. And then in 2024, he was actually picked to be Kamala Harris's running mate. And that's right, he could have been the vice president, but unfortunately, Kamala Harris did not win, so that he went back to being just a normal Minnesota governor. And earlier this year, or last year actually, it's 2026 now, I keep forgetting that, in 2025, he decided to run for re-election to Minnesota governor. He also expressed his intent to run for president in 2028. But then, all of a sudden, there was this big scandal that's been going on for years in Minnesota. And basically, to break it down, there was this Somali woman who decided to run a clinic that diagnosed kids with autism. And the thing about Minnesota is they give lots of money. I think it's about $40,000 per year to Minnesota. So that's a lot of money, a lot of taxpayer money that goes to kids with autism. And what was happening was that she basically told other people in the Somali community that if you come to this clinic and diagnose your child with autism, you'll get money. And this was a whole big fraud thing that has really just been starting to get attention like the last month. And Tim Walz wasn't directly involved with it, but he was. It's very reasonable to think that he was involved with it, or he knew about it at least. And so yeah, he is no longer running for Minnesota governor. So what does this mean for the country in Minnesota? Well, first of all, I think that I would just want to say that any sort of fraud or any governor who either commits fraud or does not step in when there is fraud that's happening should not be governor. They should resign. And I think Tim Walz should resign. He has not resigned yet, but there are a lot of Minnesota lawmakers who are calling for his resignation. But yeah, whoever does this, any sort of corruption, I'm against. Now, for Minnesota, this is big because Amy Klobuchar, the senator, Democratic senator, is reportedly trying to run for the office herself. So that's going to be very interesting. That's probably going to raise her profile a lot. As you know, she is a presidential wannabe who actually ran for president back in 2020. So now, nationally, I mean, we can kind of say goodbye to Tim Walz. Probably never going to see him again in the national spotlight. He's probably not going to run for president. I mean, I don't know anyone who can recover from any sort of scandal or having to resign or not announce that he won't run for re-election. I mean, Andrew Cuomo, he lost the mayor race. after he had to resign from the governorship. So that's very interesting. But yeah, I think that I just wanted to tell you about it. Yeah, bye-bye.